Picture this. You're cruising past the intricately carved stone walls of Angkor Wat in a gleaming 1960s vintage Mercedes. Angkor Wat is a massive ancient temple complex located in northern Cambodia. This chart shows the global hotel rankings from 2018, where a modest 35-room boutique property in Cambodia called Varoth's Hotel climbed past multi-billion-dollar resorts in Paris and Dubai to take the absolute #1 spot on TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is the world's largest online travel guidance platform, where millions of users rate their hospitality experiences. The secret to that global dominance comes down to a highly specific guest experience. The hotel offers a meticulously curated fleet of classic cars, giving visitors a deeply nostalgic way to tour the ancient ruins. You would naturally assume the architect behind a world-class operation like this has a pristine pedigree. Maybe an Ivy League degree in hospitality management, or a childhood spent roaming the halls of a family-owned luxury chain. However, the person actually running the show has zero traditional hospitality training. This reality leaves a massive question. How does someone with no formal background build the top-rated luxury experience on Earth? Meet Mr. Say Sokros. He is the general manager of Varoth's Hotel. Before he was directing a fleet of vintage luxury vehicles and managing high-end suites, Sokros was a farmer's son who made his living doing grueling manual labor, including mixing cement by hand. So how exactly does a day laborer transition from construction sites to creating the absolute peak of global luxury? Sokros grew up in the fields of Prey Veng province. Prey Veng is a heavily agricultural region in southern Cambodia. In that environment, daily life was strictly about survival, and formal educational opportunities were basically non-existent. To climb the economic ladder, he took whatever work he could find. At the very bottom, he worked in local restaurants, baked bread, and operated heavy machinery in a commercial printing shop. His most physically punishing roles involved working as a day laborer, mixing heavy concrete, which eventually led to a slightly more stable position, driving vehicles for a non-governmental organization. Those years of exhausting, repetitive work forged his absolute refusal to quit. That pure, grinding work ethic would end up being his most valuable asset when he finally stepped into the hospitality sector. In 2007, Sokros took a job at Varoth's Hotel. Back then, the property looked like this, a modest 2-story, 7-room building originally constructed during the 1960s French colonial period. He was hired as a supervisor, but he completely rejected the traditional management style of sitting behind a desk and handing out orders. Instead, he was constantly on his feet. He cooked meals, swept the walkways, tended to the gardens, and actively picked up litter. His hands-on approach was so intense that some people mockingly called him the manager of trash picking. But that extreme humility gave him a massive tactical advantage. By doing the lowest-level tasks himself, Sokros learned every single physical and emotional detail of the guest experience from the floorboards up. Fast forward to the 2015 to 2017 window. The hotel successfully expanded to 35 rooms, and Sokros was officially promoted to general manager. During this expansion, he noticed something important about the hotel's owners. They had a deep, personal passion for collecting and restoring high-end vintage cars. Sokros saw an opportunity. This animated map shows the strategic pivot he made in 2017. He convinced the owners to package their private hobby into a formal guest service, creating curated driving routes that depart from Siem Reap and loop directly through the major temples. Siem Reap is the primary resort town in northwestern Cambodia that serves as the gateway to the Angkor ruins. The goal was to make visitors feel like this, transporting modern travelers back to the romantic, nostalgic era of the 1960s. Taking a quirky side hobby and engineering it into a globally recognized selling point proved that Sokros's blue-collar grit had evolved into sharp, visionary business acumen. Today, that original idea has grown into a dedicated fleet of 7 classic vehicles, and they have become the absolute, inseparable identity of Varoth's Hotel. Running them is not easy. These are decades-old machines that require constant mechanical oversight. They occasionally break down on the dirt roads, and they completely lack modern air conditioning. But here is the fascinating paradox. The guests really do not mind the Cambodian heat or the occasional engine stall. The deep historical authenticity, combined with extreme care, turns those mechanical flaws into a genuinely unforgettable experience. High-end luxury thrives on this level of emotional resonance and human connection, providing a depth that sterile perfection simply cannot replicate. Looking at Socros's life journey provides a specific new definition for what it means to lead in the global hospitality industry. Viroth's world-class results originated outside the traditional corporate boardroom, bypassing typical executive strategies and spreadsheets. Instead, this standard of excellence grew directly from ground-floor empathy and the physical resilience Socros developed while mixing cement. Mr. Socros is living proof that if you combine pure grit with absolute humility, there is quite literally no limit to how high you can climb.